Hello, how is everyone? My name is Cheryl Wilson, and I am going to show you some of my journals. I had a couple people ask me. Um, I have a kind of like a love-hate relationship with journals. I've asked myself many times, why do I do them? And I have come to the conclusion that I really love having them in my studio. I love looking back at pieces I've created. There's that differentiation between painting your art and then journaling. Journaling is different. In a lot of ways, they're the same, and you'll see in some of my pieces that some of the paintings or the pieces in my journal I created them for the journal, or I created them on a separate piece of paper for practice, and I've put them in my journal. So that's kind of how I've used it. You'll see a couple of my ones that I did when I first started my art journey, and I do love those. I love to go back and look at them and just smile at myself at where my journey took me. There were some gaps when I didn't do any journaling, but I now have it pretty much as a regular part. And do I have a method for how I input them into my journals? I've somewhat come up with a method and a plan. So that's what I'm going to show you. First of all, this one, it's a Moleskine. What's on the bottom here, I have a larger one over there that I haven't filled yet. But this is quite large, and I will put the links down below to the journals that I'm going to show you. I'll have to look up some of them because I don't know the exact name of all of them right now because I pretty much covered them up with paint. But this one, and I always leave the first couple pages blank. I don't know why, but I do. Maybe to put an introduction. But this one started out almost as a book that I put one, larger paintings in, or they're the landscape. This is one where it's different pieces of paper I've glued together. I believe this is a course I took with Louis Noble, and I loved how he created a landscape by having the different pieces. This is just a smaller one, but I love some of the marks in here are the marks I love to use. I don't have the dates on all of them. Here's another one where they're different pieces of paper that are put together. This is actually two together also. This is pieces that I did while I was on a trip, and I brought them back, and I wanted to preserve them in my journal because I just liked the colors. It's the same with this one. I did this one on a trip, and there's some glued pieces, and then I just used my markings to put them together. Markings can be anywhere from the graphite, from gold markings, from pencil markings, Here's another one where I scratched in the wet paint. Here's a very thick black marker. This one was fun because it's a lot of different pieces I put together and created almost like a almost like an Arctic landscape is what it reminds me of. This is just another with the different colors, and then I added birds in here just for the fun of the creating the landscape. Here's two where I put like houses. I was in a little time where I have several large paintings where I added houses, and they came from the inspiration of just doing these paintings, these landscapes. Here's some seascapes. I traveled to the beach a lot when my son and his family lived near the beach down in Panama City. And I loved the colors of the ocean. I went to several beaches. I want to do a online landscape course. I'm still building on that. This was just recently when I did some pieces where I did a lot of thickness and used some gloss medium. So I grabbed a paper and just put some leftover paint. Some of them were paintings I just created. Some were for YouTube paintings, YouTube videos I did for you all. This one has some scratching in it. This is one I did with the scrapers, and it was a inspiration piece for many other paintings, but I did this one on paper to start off for the YouTube video to show you. I'm loving this one. It's just very simple. It's very, very what I do in my larger pieces, very simplistic, neutral colors with writing. I love this one too. This one easily could be made into a larger piece. So here's just some more. I wanted to capture and preserve where I am in my journey of painting. I love this one. I think I want to do a large painting like this, but with lots of texture. This is very simplistic. I would even wonder if it's done. The reason why I put it in here is because I'm loving the texture of the paint where I just take the brush and splat it down. I'm loving that. This one is like another landscape that I captured. I haven't input this in yet, and I'll do this with like a heavy gel. But this one has some tissue napkin in it. That's what this is. This is some handmade papers. This is actually some paper towel that I put in here. So that's this book. I'm going to show you a couple journals of when I first started my journey. Now, these are, not sure how much of these I'm going to show you, but I started out with a saying on this one, I see my soul on the canvas. It's one 2015. I think I started my actual journey in 2012, but I wrote this as a note to myself. Art became my way to express what was inside my soul. When I first created my first piece of art, I cried as a passion was released that was new to me. I wanted to experience the passion over and over again, to explore what was held deep within, that when I experienced it, I saw my soul on the canvas. And that is how I still feel today. That is a saying from 2015 that pretty much encapsulates what I still feel today. This right here was from a piece of jewelry. It's one on my birthday in 2015, when I went to Santa Fe, and that piece became a mark I put in my artwork even today. This is just a flower, nothing fancy. This was 2015. I love the fall leaves, so I wanted to glue them in, and then I wanted to draw them. So I believe that's watercolor. This was November, and these are like in the very beginning when I was just exploring art. Not that fancy. This is an example of different pens I used. Believe me, this art is not that great, but it's just a capture of how I progressed. This is when I first probably was playing with landscapes. This was a little bit later. I wanted to finish off this journal. So actually, this was pretty recent. This was just a little story where I said it's listening with my soul. So I'll write myself notes and what I'm thinking and what maybe I'm going through. I love to do self-portraits, although this is maybe not a likeness to me. It's I don't do portraits, so it's just a self-portrait in the only way that I can draw a self-portrait. This is just more than a shadow and a story that I wrote. These are very personal to me. This is when I see myself in the mirror. Very simple painting. But these are very personal notes to me that I want to capture when I'm feeling them. And so I typed them up and put them in the journal. I had it written on the back of the painting, but I put it together. So that's one journal I did a long time ago. And here's another one. And I always cover the, I always paint the covers. This is actually just a little watercolor I did and glued it to it. But this is paper with different acrylics and inks that I glued to it. Again, I don't know why I always leave the first page empty. 2012. This was done even earlier than that other one. But it says, today I feel in pain, not sure why. But again, when I paint, it's coming from deep within my soul. And that's how I've always painted. And that's today when you'll see on Instagram, a lot of the things I feel are from deep within. I'm a very empath, and I feel, and it comes out. I like for it to come out on canvas and paper. This is just some more, maybe a dark mood that I had. Here's some more landscapes that were just, I was playing with different ideas or thoughts. Here I put some thoughts embedded into the paper. So sometimes I like to date these, and if I can go back and remember when I did some of these, I will. This was pretty recent. I'm finishing up a couple journals so that I have them finished. So this one's pretty recent. And then if you were to say there was some sort of method, I did do one where I have somewhat florals. This is just a very rough cover. I always have the blank page. I have to ask myself deep down in my soul why I leave it. Maybe I'll do when I'm finished with each journal, write a page in the front. But this was just done with probably acrylic inks. But this was pretty recent. This was done while I was traveling to the beach. Actually, this was done this year, so it was when I was probably down the first of the year at the beach. But I'm loving the colors in this one. And I love the colors in this too. This one I added to it some gold pen. This is when I was just playing with different leaves or flowers and and how to create them, the different buds. And I thought this was a good place to capture what I was creating so that I could always go back and look at my buds. And it just will help me. I remember doing 1, 2, and 3 swipes. So these don't make it. There's a Christmas tree. These don't make it, and I have room here for some more. They don't make it to the framed or on canvas because they're just maybe studies or when I just need to relax and get started in a journal. Here is another one. Let's see what this is. This is just different years I started, and there is no specific theme for this one. I do love the colors on here. Here's some of the writing. I did it in 21. Here's a stencil. I use this stencil a lot now. It's probably when I first got the stencil. So I used it in several. Here's the spiral I like. Nothing great in grandeur, but they make me feel good. And they make me feel good when I go back and I look at them. Some of them I would look at and say, these are total flops. This was probably, these were palettes because I put it at the bottom. These were sitting to the side where I wiped my brush off on them, and I love the colors. This is when I was practicing the different, like using my finger and making marks. This is on done real thin paper, but I like how the washi look. So this one is a finished journal. And then I want to show you, before I show you some more fancier journals, this is one that I made, and I'm still working on this. It is, this is canvas, and then this is a piece of like cheesecloth I glued to it, back and front. I did like a, rubber band type thing. This is a piece of, what is that? It's probably a sheet, a piece of like a pillowcase or a sheet that I painted on. And then these are just, this is open for me to write on or paint on. I wanted different levels of areas that looked a little bit different. It's your life, design it well with your unique style and without any fear of rejection. And that's almost like what this is right now. It's just a place. These are sitting here ready to glue into here if I want to. I have some extra pages. This is like a bookmarker I made. Those are like little sequins. So this is just like a fun book. If anything, I can add to it periodically when I look at it. And then these, I showed these before. These are from Milan Art, and I'll put that link below. I'm not affiliated with them at all. They, don't sponsor me or anything. But I love these because this is real leather. This is a larger one, and this is the smaller one. I take these in my suitcase when I travel. They do have nice, like little burlap bags that I can use. But I've taken this with me to the my children's house when I've gone to paint. This was just watercolor. A lot of times I take watercolor with me. So there's watercolor, but it's a lot of the same marks. Probably some acrylic inks. I take a lot of acrylic inks with me. I remember going on a walk and finding this beautiful, I think it's maybe a magnolia leaf, and then I painted it, and there's the colors I used with the, I think, acrylic inks. That's just a landscape. They were building on this piece of land, putting a pier, but I sat there with this and some of my paints and just painted looking out into the water, and it's how I felt. But this has got a lot of room for growth. Just some flowers I picked up along the way. Some more beautiful colors. This is again looking out into the yard. But I have a lot of room. Here's some more of the leaves that give me inspiration. And so then the smaller one, they weren't that expensive. If you were to compare beautiful watercolor paper and a leather cover, I didn't feel that they were that expensive. This is just plain with some colors. I loved that blue here. This was plain. I think it was a book by Motherwell. I got inspired by the different marks that he made in his journey. This was with some tempera colors that the kids had and some of my watercolors. I only had maybe a half hour every day to paint, if that, between, when the kids went down for their nap or taking them swimming or wherever. But I did like to fit a little bit of time in. I haven't looked at this in a while, so. And I don't care if they stick together. This is just for me. This is my grandson. He wanted to add to my book, and I'm keeping that page there. So this is just a little journey. Your journals can be anything that you want them to be. They can be homemade. They can be fancier, like these. They can be very rough with, a journal that you get off of Amazon. They can be small. They can be larger. I do have even smaller ones that I take with me on maybe day trips. I don't have a plan for them. I'm not quite sure what other artists say about their journals, other than there are some artists that don't even do journaling. But I like to, and I want to incorporate it more and more into my world. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'd love to hear from you how you use your journals. Do you journal? And have you journaled since the beginning of your art journey? How do you organize them? I'd love to hear. It'd be nice to have a conversation to see what other people do. So I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know how you journal. I'd love to hear. And thank you for watching.